But as I was saying, people, it's your turn. You know, the people always say God is not going to give you more than you can bear. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. I don't know where they get that saying from. Because there's so many things I've been through in my life since I gave myself to God that I couldn't bear none of it. But God, you understand? No telling what else he told Jonah. But they just talking about the story of Nineveh. No telling how many other people he sent Jonah to in his lifeline. He probably just tired. Like, man, godly, man. I just want to relax and chill. Let's go on a cruise to Tarshish. Who knows the whole story? You understand? And sometimes we are like that. I get like that. You understand? I just want rest. And people don't understand why the Christians be tired a lot. Man, you just don't know. Once you give your life to the Lord, you ain't got time to rip and run. I'm telling you, people, you ain't got time for it. You'll be at the house more praying for people than running the streets. But the people are like, man, you don't do nothing for the Lord. Oh, thank you. You know what goes on in my house, huh? Don't worry about what they say. Keep doing what God calls you to do. Because if you don't, expect some storms. Expect many of them. You know obedience comes with storms too. Obedience comes with storms too. And disobedience. One thing about it, rain comes to the, he said rain, he sends rain on the just and the unjust. So it really don't matter. You still gonna go through some storms. But in this, some cases, storms are because of you. But if you work for God, it's gonna benefit you and it's gonna benefit others. But the hardest thing for me to do is try to explain to people what God is doing. You know why that's hard? Because I really don't know. That's why it's so hard to explain to people. What do you think is happening? But he's me. You understand? I just got to be obedient. You know, it's certain things that come in my head that I don't tell a soul. Some things the Lord tells me, I don't tell no one. You understand? And I think we all have if you got a personal relationship with God, yeah, some things you're going to keep quiet. Keep in your brain. You know, I don't understand it, man. A lot of things. But I got to look in the mirror. And you got to. I'm telling you. You'll feel so much better. And you'll stop beating other people up as much. And start beating yourself up a bit more. And then God's going to help you. You understand? But don't stop running. You know, maybe I'm talking to myself today. I don't know. I done been so many different places. I done started this church. I started this. I started going to this church. Started going to this church. Started going to this church. Been many places in regards to my walk as Christ. Because a lot of times you think when you get in there, you're like, this is it. Oh, man, I'm set. I'm finally in the church. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Then things just don't go that way. Maybe it wasn't mentioned for you to be at that church or whatever. You're like, what in the world? No more this church. What? None of that makes sense. It's according to what your purpose is too, people. But again, a lot of storms are coming because of you. But it's going to benefit many. Because eventually, if you're chosen by him, you're going to do what he tells you to do. And the thing is, you don't know God's time frame, but he knows it. He knows when to send you where, when to be there. Maybe that storm and that little running he was doing put him on the land right at the right time. That three nights in hell, going through hell, probably put him right on the land, right when he's supposed to have been there. Because you got to think about it, many other people have came before him. But when he came, something happened. They took heed. And let's see what Jonah told them. Let's see what he told them. Watch what he told them now. Watch how simple this is. Chapter 3. And the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go into Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching I bid thee. So what did he tell him to tell him? So Jonah arose and went into Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceeding great city of 3 days' journey. So it took 3 days to get there from being spitted out from the land. But 3 days' journey, that's a nice little walk. And Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey. And he cried and said, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. Now, it ain't too many people. Most people don't like to listen to the first messenger. But this time, it was right on time. So the people of Nineveh believed God and proclaimed their fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest of them to the least of them. So they prayed and fasted, and God repented of his things. Why do you think they really took heed to Jonah? Because we are stubborn and rebellious people. God can tell us something 1,000 times before we get the point. That's why they say that God is slow to anger, merciful, graceful. All these things are accurate interpretations of how God's character is. Because he sent more than one person. How many times did he send Moses to Pharaoh? No telling how many other people didn't talk to Pharaoh. But Moses was the one destined to return and talk to him. And Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he even went back. He left when he was 40. Was gone 40 years. Came back 40 years later. I'm sure everybody like, Moses back. What you doing back, homie? Hey, the Lord gave me a message 40 years in the wilderness. God is a God of perfect timing, not our timing. You see, we think things will play out this way. Like Jonah. You understand? He like, because you know how that makes you look kind of as a prophet sometimes, like I'm a prophet or something. I'm just saying, I'm sure how it made them look sometimes. The Lord's going to destroy this place, man. And then they repent, and then the Lord don't do nothing, so they looking at you. I thought you said the Lord was going to restore this place. But do y'all know how God works? Do you really know? You know how many saved souls you might have saved by going to them and telling them, hey man, you might want to stop doing what you're doing. And they don't. And then something bad happens. But some people you tell that, hey, you might want to stop doing what you're doing. And they do. And nothing happens. That's how a prophet works. Do you understand? All prophets don't bring just good news. Some are. Prophecies are a lot of warnings and woe. But a prophecy also includes the blessings. It also includes the blessings and the curses. You know, there's a lot of false prophets out there. You understand? He told if you warn somebody and they change from their evil ways, you have saved a sin from death. But if you don't warn them, I hold you accountable. So you got to think about it. He saved Jonah from accountability for a whole city, Nineveh. So if Jonah wouldn't have went back, he would have been held accountable for not saying those few words to that great city. They would have probably overthrown. Well, glory be to God that Jonah repented and got back on course. And a lot of times that's with us. We get off course a lot of times. You know, this is a prophet of the Lord. Sometimes we get off course. When Jesus went back to heaven, what did Peter do? What did Peter go do? Now, I'm going fishing, man. Forget that. You know, I'm going too, Peter. So they started following after Peter. Then while they was out there fishing, Lord, behold, Jesus Christ there. You calling them fish? Oh, it's the Lord. The Lord had to come and set them back on track and feed them a little food and give them some more information. Hey, man, I told y'all I'm coming back now. Golly, man. Sometimes we all get like that. We fall off course. No, I don't know what them. Everybody got their different battles in their life. We fall off course. But if we live for God, we're going to come back on the right path. He said the devil cannot take what's his, what's God's from him. If you are his, you are his. You understand? You might fall away. But at the same time, that's the scariest thing too, because I always bring up Samson too. I mean Solomon. Built the temple of the Lord. Did a lot of great things. And then towards the end, had many warnings. In regards to, God knew what Solomon was going to do before he do it. But he gave him warning upon warning. You see, one thing, I'm a dreamer, people. And everybody's not a dreamer. And God gave me many dreams that makes no sense, but make perfect sense. And makes no sense. I don't even know what that means, what I just said. But it does. It's like, what's that mean? Pay attention. Like, what? It's different for everybody, people. What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God, if so be that God will think upon us, that we perish not. Now let's go to chapter 3 again. When he woke up, what did he do? He basically cried out to the people in regards to God. He woke up with the Nineveh with a little fire in him. He just came from a belly of a fish. He was like, man, God does not play. I might want to get on the right course. And he went there out of his sleep. And he said, maybe it be so that God will think upon us that we perish not. Same with the people of Nineveh. You see, working as a Christian, man, is so powerful. Even your missteps work out. Ain't that amazing? Don't we serve an amazing God even when you misstep? He find a way to lead you right back to him. You understand? I wish I knew more about Jonah. I wish they had more of his story. But it's not really about Jonah. It's about God. But there are many books of the prophets in here. You understand? Just book upon book, precept upon precept. You know, I finally got me a 1611 King James Version Bible. And I was going to start reading the Apocrypha again. I've read it before. I was going to read those books. You know why I'm going to read them? Because they were in there for a fact. So I'm going to read those. You know what I'm saying? I got to study them. So I got more studying to do. You know, because those books I haven't studied as much as this. You understand? But those Apocrypha books, I'm going to start studying them too, because I feel there's some more things that God wants me to know, to relate to you, and in regards to my own life. You understand? I ain't really got too much to you. I ain't finna beat you up too much today like I normally do. I'm pretty nice today. I can't believe it. But people, stay on course. But just know, if you're chosen by him, even your storms and when you go off course benefit you and others. So faint not. But sometimes we are going to faint. I'm sure Jonah was a little weary. He probably went, hey, go here, go there. Okay, Lord. Man, just give me a break, man. Let me go to sleep in the back of the... And you know what? Jesus did the same thing when he was on the boat. They were like, Jesus, wake up. We about to perish. Oh, you little faith. Look at that. Wow. That's amazing. That's why they say Jesus has been through every temptation that we've been through and defeated them. Every one of them. Just imagine that. Because we think that this day and age, well, how could God go through what we went through without our technology and video games and this and that? I'm sure they had things like that. I'm sure gambling ain't nothing new. I'm sure playing little board games and stuff ain't nothing new. I'm sure some people spent all their time playing board games, just like people play video games. I'm sure if pornography went around, it was somewhere where you can go and watch you a little show. Because they said there's nothing new under the sun. The way the presentation may be different, but the same things that Jesus went through, we have been through. We go through, Jesus has been through and conquered. That's why they say we are more than conquerors. You know, but we're going to fall short all the time of Jesus. Ain't no human being alive that compare to him. Unless you Jewish And you're starting to worship that new Messiah they got that know everything except who the Messiah is. Woo! That was a good joke. Know everything except who the Messiah is. Huh. The Jews know so much. They just don't believe Jesus. You know, some people are prideful. That's why they won't believe Jesus exists or Jesus was the Son of the Most High God. Because you know, a lot of times God sends people to people who look totally different from what they expect. That goes for me and everybody else. We expecting this type of person to show up and bring change to our life or our church or anything else. Somebody with it in, then they send a random stranger from somewhere else to go out with a Nineveh, and they listen to them. But that's not the case every time. Some prophets they didn't listen to. They threw in prison. They beat up. They killed. You understand? Doing what the Lord asked them to do. But the thing is, what's the old saying? Never judge a book by its cover. You understand? Never judge a book by its cover. You see, they looking for somebody who act like them, walk like them, talk like them. Jesus did none of the above. He didn't act like them. He made a talk similar to them, but he was not like them. He was different. One thing I gotta realize in this word of God, God chooses different people with different mindsets. Samson, his parents, why won't you date this woman? Little did they know that Samson was made this way because God sought a occasion against the Philistines. Wow. So you mean to tell me for Samson not to like a Hebrew woman and fall and like people of another race who worship other gods is going to benefit the kingdom of God? And there's a lot of people like that right now and missing the mark, people. You know, and I'm not saying that because I date outside my supposed race. You understand? Now, that's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying it because I read it in the Bible. You know, they sent Isaac, one of them, to marry this woman. And the daddy was like, well, you're going to marry this one. You're going to marry this one too. Don't tell him what the meaning was behind that, but it happened. You understand? He was tricked to sleep with the sister instead of Rachel. Man, that's some crazy stuff. It's like watching, you read this Bible, it's like watching a soap opera. You get everything in here. Everything. Daughter sleeping with their daddy. Wow. Lot. Everything you need to know is in here. Like I be trying to explain to people, there was like the custom back in the day how if one man died and his wife didn't have a child, that they married a brother. And people are like, there's no way I can do that. If you live back in that day, you would. Because it was custom. If they would have spread this throughout, it would have been customary for things like that to happen. You understand? But the thing is, we are so far from this Bible. That's why Jesus Christ had to come. Because a lot of us don't know how to live like this. And probably never will understand 100%. That's what Paul talks about, people trying to justify themselves by the law and the statutes that's in the Old Testament. The 10 are the easiest. The rest of them, that's so much stuff, man. I can't even begin to understand that. You understand? But I know God saved the Gentiles too. And I'm a Gentile. That's what I call myself. You understand? So in reality, I'm not under the statutes of the Israelites. But I am under the 10 Commandments. Y'all better pay attention to what I'm telling you right there. It's going to be fruit for you. You'll remember I told you that. You understand? Because I'm telling you, you're trying to put yourself in a situation when you got to do every last little tittle of this. And that's what the Hebrew Israelites are doing. They're trying to live by the law. But they got a lot of work to do. I'm just being real. As for me and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord through the new covenant. And eat me a pork chop sandwich. Have a blessed day, people.